Since time immemorial, high rituals have been performed to transform reality. Note that ritual is not always a conscious action. Not everyone partaking in a ritual is always made explicitly aware that they are participants. And yet still, new patterns of thought, of significance, are drummed in, conscious or not. An initiation ritual typically involves 3 stages. See if any of this sounds familiar to you. First, isolation for purification. The initiate is separated from the mundane. Did you know mundane means of the world? The initiate is largely removed from the otherwise familiar persons, places, and things one is used to, in order to be cleared of them. An essential element of this separation from one's typical environment is the suspension of the normal rules of living that one is used to, with nowhere else to go except where allowed. The insulated, isolated initiate may be forced to confront his or her own reflection, and inner shadows that have been ignored or buried somewhere deep beneath the average day-to-day suddenly become unavoidable. Just as they involve surrender, initiation rituals may also involve sacrifice. Both the tangible that can be held in a hand and the intangible, such as behaviors, may be given up by requirement. After all, for something to be given, something must also be taken. The wearing of masks may be required. Masking has traditionally played an important role in rituals of this kind, enabling and hastening the suppression of ego to help facilitate a death of the old identity before the identification with and manifestation of a new one. Disguised under a mask and hidden away, the initiate is more easily able to transcend the self, pushed further toward that invisible line between the physical and spiritual realms. Trauma is another aspect of this kind of initiation, and most especially to personalize the fear of death. Sometimes the act of dying is even ceremonially role-played. Only after death is confronted can the initiate be symbolically resurrected, reborn anew. While the process that is playing out is quite coordinated and sophisticated in reality, it may be executed in a purposefully confusing manner, so that the goalposts seem to keep moving back and forth, up and down, here now there, rendering the initiate unable to find solid mental ground from which to make logical sense of anything. This disorientation is key. The uncertain timing generates a general anxiety, further removing the initiate from reality and leaving him or her more susceptible to a type of Pavlovian conditioning. This weakens the defenses just as a virus would, only this has the potential to break down the individual much more completely than a virus would.
I know we're surrounded by uncertainty.
Whatever the finer details, the previous way of life is shed like an old skin. At the end that comes before the beginning, the change begins. This is the second phase, the transition.
It's liminal time or liminal space. The word liminal literally means a threshold, that we're on a threshold of a new time, a new way of doing things in our society, that there's going to be some transformation.
As the old self symbolically dies and passes away, the initiate descends into a state of liminality, a sort of fever dream purgatory nowhere land, the void in the middle. Thus the old self dies as the initiate is purified. At the same time his old existence and way of life dies, the initiate transcending it is gradually being processed, reprogrammed, and incorporated into his or her new environment, and rebirthed into the new world that awaits at the end of the tunnel. This is the final phase of the ritual, integration.
Tomorrow, come here tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the 25th Amendment.
Let me press you, though, on what happens. You said you want people to get out there and vote, but even that's no guarantee that the White House and Senate Republicans won't try to push through a Supreme Court nomination in a lame duck session, even if Joe Biden wins on November 3rd, even if Democrats pick up seats in the House and maybe even the Senate. So what can you do then? Some have mentioned the possibility, if they try to push through a nominee in a lame duck session, that you and the House could move to impeach President Trump or Attorney General Barr as a way of stalling and preventing the Senate from acting on this nomination?
Well, we have our options. We have arrows in our quiver that I'm not about to discuss right now.
She had 33,000 emails. Forget about what was on the emails. It's irrelevant. Although many of them were classified, highly classified, and you go to jail for that. But and they're in the State Department, but Mike Pompeo has been unable to get them out, which is very sad. Actually, I'm not happy about him for that reason. He was unable to get them out. I don't know why. You're running the State Department, you get them out, but they're in the State Department.
We've got the emails. We're getting them out. We're going to get all this information out so the American people can see it. You'll remember.
Talking a long time. He was in the Middle East for over 20 years. I don't want to say too much about it, but he's got recordings of a lot of people. So something that everybody wants to have is the evidence. Ooh, I want to hear and see the evidence. Guess what? We have it. We have irrefutable evidence. We have audio recordings of people, government officials, talking about it to Allen. And in there, you're going to find out some pretty shocking things. And that's just the start of it. That's just a couple of audio recordings and a document. You're going to find out that 3 former CIA directors were all implicated by allowing this to continue to keep bin Laden alive in Iran. They moved him from Iran over to Pakistan for the trophy kill. Instead of just giving him to us, Iran was like, all right, here, take him. They were going to give him to us. And instead, Hillary and Biden and them cooked up this plan to have him transferred to Pakistan for a trophy kill. They want to do a trophy kill.
Right before his reelection.
Yeah, they wanted to do it right before his reelection. And then, so, yeah, fast forward a little bit, he is reelected. One thing that people don't know, though, is that the payments to Iran were related to that. I've heard 2 things. I've heard that bin Laden, that wasn't him as his body double. I mean, I guess we'll never know if they buried it at sea, that story, right? But either way, even if they did kill him or didn't kill him, the payments occurred because of that transaction. And of course, the pallets of cash are kickbacks, right? So
the transaction of SEAL Team 6's.
Oh, I'm talking about. So afterward, after the this all happens, SEAL Team 6 gets shot down. It was only a really short time after that, and that was highly suspect even to us when we were briefed on it and everything. None of it made any sense. Nobody knows where they are at any time. Practically a handful of people do, and for them to be targeted so easily, like sitting ducks.
About bin Laden, I said, where do you think he is? He said, oh, Kurt. He said, there's no doubt, he's in Iran. Yeah, I just told Kurt, I said, no, the better way of doing it, if Susan Collins and Lieberman are on board, I wouldn't go see Obama, I'd go see Biden. And Brian can arrange that. Brian can arrange that directly, Alan.
Here's the problem, sir. We have identified with documentation 3 mechanisms used by the Bush administration to covertly engineer bin Laden's house arrest inside Iran. We have identified 2 mechanisms used by this administration to continue the legacy. And Hillary Clinton's fingerprints are all over this, and Leon Panetta's fingerprints are all over this. We will have tremendous opposition.
Yeah, because I told Kurt that he is being protected by us. We don't really want to get him. We want him under the radar screen because he basically made a deal that he's not going to hit us here in the U.S.
He has strenuously denied this many, many times, and we now know that he lied. He blatantly lied to the American people because he was fully aware, and that's really important here. It's not just that he has a wayward son, Hunter Biden, who's influence peddling all over the world, and Joe Biden was unaware. No, the sitting vice president knew about all of this. We know that both from Senator Johnson's Homeland Security Committee report, as well as from these bombshell revelations from the New York Post. Maria, what's becoming increasingly obvious to the American people is that the Biden family is a crime family. And that is the reality.
We have seen big tech, we've seen Twitter and Facebook actively interfering in this election in a way that has no precedent in the history of our country. Yesterday, the New York Post broke a story alleging serious corruption of Joe Biden and Hunter Biden concerning Ukraine. The allegations in the New York Post story, if true, indicate that Vice President Biden lied when he said he had never discussed his son's business dealings. That story, once the New York Post broke it, was blocked by Twitter and Facebook. Anyone who attempted to share it was prevented from sharing it on Twitter or Facebook. The New York Post itself, when it attempted to put out its story, was blocked on Twitter and Facebook. The New York Post has the fourth largest circulation of any newspaper in this country. Never before have we seen active censorship of a major press publication with serious allegations of corruption of one of the two candidates for president. And Twitter is actively blocking, right now, this instant, stories from the New York Post alleging corruption and the Biden family receiving millions of dollars from communist China. This is election interference, and we are 19 days out from an election. It has no precedent in the history of democracy.
Apparently this morning, a whole bunch of YouTube channels have been terminated with no warning, and there's some pretty significant channels too. So here's the list of them right here. In addition, SGT Report is on there, Dollar Vigilante is on there, Praying Medic is on there, as you can see, X22 Report and Edge of Wonder. There's others.
Look at the behavior of the big tech oligarchs. who want to control the Biden administration. They immediately censored this information on Twitter and on Facebook. They locked down the Twitter account of the New York Post, a venerable and major American newspaper. They locked Kayleigh McEnany, the White House press secretary, out of her Twitter account. The big tech oligarchs have declared war on the Republican Party and conservatives, and I promise them, those in Silicon Valley, winter is coming.
We've just learned through explosive documents published by a very fine newspaper, the New York Post, that Joe Biden has been blatantly lying about his involvement in his son's corrupt business dealings. And this is a big smoking gun. The newly uncovered emails reveal that a top executive from the highly questionable Ukrainian company, it's an energy company, which paid Hunter at least $50,000 a month, but it's now looking like it could be $183,000 a month. That's a lot of money. Would anybody in this audience take it? I'll take it. We'll take it. Despite the fact that he had absolutely no experience, knew nothing about energy, wrote to Hunter arranging for a meeting to meet with Vice President Joe Biden. I've been saying this for a long time with that family. The same Ukrainian energy executive even sent Hunter an email saying, quote, "We urgently need your advice on how you could use your influence." In other words, Hunter was being paid for access to his vice president father, who was specifically put in charge of Ukraine and Russia. How about the Russia hoax? It turned out that they were the ones that did the Russia hoax. It was them. No collusion. No collusion. The fact is, there was never an administration more corrupt than the Obama-Biden administration. There was never. Now we can see clearly that Biden is a corrupt politician who shouldn't even be allowed to run for the presidency.
Seems to be to call Biden a criminal. Why is that?
He is a criminal. He's a criminal. He got caught, read his laptop, and you know who's a criminal? You're a criminal for not reporting it. You are a criminal for not reporting it. Let me tell you something. Joe Biden is a criminal, and he's been a criminal for a long time, and you're a criminal in the media for not reporting it. Good luck, everybody. Have a good time. Have a good time.
所以我们这里说是硬盘啊，告诉大家啊，据悉据可靠的，过几天大家会在外媒啊都会一个个见到，说江增梦啊，江大家知道是增，知道是谁，梦出手了，有3份重要的硬盘已经到了司法部手上，本来是他们给司法部的，但是被司法部里面的这个拜登这一派给按下来了。但是鬼使神差啊，咱们爆料革命的战友啊，具体谁咱们就不说了，大家也司法部大家知道啊，然后把这个终于到了川普总统手上。很多人说这到底什么东西啊？说出来肯定让大家震惊啊，绝对震惊。大家收好心脏啊，把心脏先吃点这个心脏病的药啊，准备好。 拜登之子亨特·拜登这个东西啊，回头都可以验证的。咱们说的都是叫做站在今天说未来今天说未来的这个说未来站在未来说历史亨特·拜登的哪些东西黄色视频这个虐童视频一家一家的这个亨特·拜登的这个就是黄色的极其黄的可以说是虐童的，极其让人看到完全就把中国人不当人的这个这是谁拍的？中共拍的，中共拍的
And there is further analysis of the subpoena's handwriting, and it suggests that the subpoena was served by an FBI agent his name is Joshua Wilson, and over the last 5 years, he has been working on child pornography issues. Connect the dots. If an FBI agent is working on child pornography issues for 5 years, why is he subpoenaing the laptop of Hunter Biden? Is there a connection here? Should this suggest that there's a child pornography issue here on that laptop?
Well, I think you just made the connection. Again, this is what the FBI, I think, has to come clean about. This isn't a standard investigation where, you know, if the FBI doesn't indict somebody, that everything remains confidential. This is something that, as we were talking about, relates to national security. And if there's criminal activity involved that could be tied to Hunter Biden or his business associates, or even possibly tied back to other members of the Biden family, and as some of these emails indicate, that Joe Biden was fully aware of this. He was taking his 10% cut or requiring 50% from his family member's salary. This needs to be known before Americans go to the polls.
So was the FBI agent who served the subpoena investigating child pornography, Senator?
Well, you just read the news report. I can't comment any further. I don't want to speculate other than to say that what I said publicly before, our report uncovered so many troubling connections, so many things that need to be investigated, that I really think we're just scratching the surface. And yes, I've heard all kinds of things that I think will probably be revealed over the next few days. There's a treasure trove of emails and video and pictures in not only the purported computer of Hunter Biden, but now we've got the co-conspirator, Bevan Cooney, that also starting to reveal information. I guess we're probably going to just find more information every day over the next couple of weeks.
The declaration of the new federal state of China on 4 June 2020 in Beijing. This is the preface. It is the whistleblowers movement that has brought us together in order to realize the rule of law, democracy, and freedom in the new federal state of China. The free Chinese throughout the world and in China have established the Himalaya Supervising Organization. During the past 3 years, Mr. Miles Guo and myself have founded and led the whistleblowers movement that exposed the illegitimacy and the true evil nature of the Chinese Communist Party. and its deceptions. The Himalaya Supervising Organization is a voluntary, non-governmental organization with no political affiliations at all. It is recognized by international community and protected by international law, along with the rule of law society. It will serve as a bridge of communications between the new federal state of China and the international communities in the areas of cooperation, defending people and freedom, and protecting the security of assets on the basis of common development and mutual respect among the people of the whole world. Now, the mission of the new federal state of China and the Supervisory Commission is to take down the Chinese Communist Party. Number 6, the new federal state of China will immediately, upon its execution in Beijing, confiscate and recover all assets that have been plundered by the kleptocrats within the Chinese Communist Party and return that wealth to the Chinese people. I want to repeat this one for everyone watching in Beijing particularly, that the new federal state of China will confiscate immediately and recover all assets that were plundered by the kleptocrats within the Chinese Communist Party and return that wealth immediately to the Chinese people.
We know the Biden campaign is watching. There's a lot more to come. And just remember, every time something comes out and you lie about it or you hide behind the Russia coverage, additional information is going to come out and prove you're liars. So for Tony Blinken and all you guys seeing your careers go up in ashes, just remember, there's evidence, emails, text messages, a lot more to come, and not just from the hard drive. There's stuff coming out all over, affidavits, other things from other news organizations. You're going to be buried in an avalanche of evidence of your corruption and how you've sold out America. You sold out America to the equivalent of the Nazi Party in the 1930s. That's what the Chinese Communist Party is. This is not about China. It's not about the Chinese people. The Chinese people are totally innocent here. Most decent, hardworking people on earth. It is their liberation that's the defining aspect of the first half of the 21st century. And you have been complicit in their slavery. You have stolen their money to make yourselves wealthier. Joe Biden and his family and Blinken and Sullivan and you guys are caught up in it too, okay? You have stolen the money from the hardest working people on earth that are enslaved by this totalitarian dictatorship that breaks the underground house Christians, breaks the underground Catholic Church, suppresses the Tibetan Buddhists, puts concentration camps with the Muslim Uyghurs. You have taken blood money, to go out and you, Hunter Biden, to do your drugs and all your depravity. Well, it's all going to come out in living color, okay? All going to come out in living color. That money, sir, was stolen from the Chinese people in slave labor. Remember that, stolen from them.
Is this Russian disinformation, Director?
So, Maria, it's funny that some of the people that complain the most about intelligence being politicized are the ones politicizing intelligence. And unfortunately, in this case, it is Adam Schiff, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, who, as you pointed out on Friday, said that the intelligence community believes that Hunter Biden's laptop and the emails on it are part of some Russian disinformation campaign. Let me be clear. The intelligence community doesn't believe that because there's no intelligence that supports that. And we have shared no intelligence with Chairman Schiff or any other member of Congress that Hunter Biden's laptop is part of some Russian disinformation campaign. It's simply not true. And this is exactly what I said I would stop when I became the Director of National Intelligence. And that's people using the intelligence community to leverage some political narrative. And in this case, apparently Chairman Schiff wants anything against his preferred political candidate to be deemed as not real and is using the intelligence community or attempting to use the intelligence community to say there's nothing to see here. Don't drag the intelligence community into this. Hunter Biden's laptop is not part of some Russian disinformation campaign, and I think it's clear that the American people know that.
Rudy Giuliani came on here in the first hour and told you that that's not financial crimes. There's other criminal activity. And Rudy Giuliani is going forward with that. And I think that he'll bring it out all tomorrow. And, you know, it's going to be a storm, right? That's what we got. The storm clouds are around the Biden camp. The storm clouds are around the Biden camp, a gathering storm.
Voting starts on Monday. We're going to have a red wave, it's called, the red wave. So get out and vote. No, they're calling it a red, these people, look at all those cameras. These people, they're calling it a red wave. They expect there may be, not forget about the word may. They said there may be a big red wave. We will have a red wave, the likes of which they've never seen before, and that includes 4 years ago.
You guys know what this represents?
Tell us, sir.
I don't know, maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm. We have the world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming.
What's storm that
You'll find out.
Give us a hint and
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Rudy Giuliani came on here in the first hour and told you that that's not financial crimes. There's other criminal activity. And Rudy Giuliani is going forward with that. And I think that he'll bring it out all tomorrow. And, you know, it's going to be a storm, right? That's what we got. The storm clouds are around the Biden camp. The storm clouds are around the Biden camp, a gathering storm.
lumière s'entend du lointain se rapprocher les jaunes sur le pont de la ville pour reprendre son destin en main, rude et bien faite, ignorant la défaite sur le chemin de l'espoir, la flamme dans le regard. Le monde, c'est nous c'est l'autre élevé là, et pas sur un continent, et elle est là-bas. Ni de char, ni de haine pour les hommes qui s'aiment, des naissances et des mères pour les hommes qui saignent. Rien ne pourra enrayer l'honorable jugement qui vient doucement trancher l'injustice du présent. Nouveau monde, c'est nous c'est l'autre élevé là, et pas sur un continent. Paresseux profiteur ou profitable parasite, quand le fric à toute heure exclut l'autre de la piste, le mérite dit vrai là où la parole dit faux, quand le médiocre plaît, l'utile réapparaît. Au monde, c'est nous c'est l'autre élevé là, et pas sur un continent. C'est la chasse à la peur qui referme nos cœurs. Laissons-nous donc guider vers les routes sans guichet. Le nouveau monde, c'est nous c'est l'autre élevé là, pas sur un continent. Elle est là-bas. Le monde, c'est nous c'est l'autre élevé là, et pas sur un continent. Pas sur un